Good day lads, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Scrolling through Twitter after a game release is always an exciting time, but boy when a release goes about as sour as your mom's 50-year-old titty milk, the replies get spicy. To us gaming plebs, it comes to no surprise that the newest release of Star Wars Jedi Survivor is an absolute shit show. To bring some context into the field, here's how the game runs on an absolute behemoth of a system. So it shouldn't really take a Sherlock Holmes to realize the customers are pissed beyond good measure, which reveals a bigger issue with the modern gaming industry, but more on that later. Before I continue, a quick announcement that gameplay during the video is from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, since I couldn't bring myself to buy Jedi Survivor with a good conscience. I'm not gonna spend 60 euros for a one-off gathering of footage, and I feel like it'd be morally wrong to just download X gameplay from someone else, so here we are. Anyway, let's take some time and dissect a statement or public apology made by EA in light of all these issues. Electronic Arts states that they are aware that Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't performing up to their standards. Okay, so why release it then? For a percentage of their players, especially those with high-end systems or those with certain specific configurations. Now, there's a lot wrong with this beginning part in general, as it doesn't just concern high-end systems, it also doesn't just concern PC customers in general. The issues mostly stem from monitor resolutions, underpowered CPUs with high-end GPUs in combination, or simply, the game running like shit on the most high-performance gear you can get that's just for PC. Then you have the PlayStation 5 HDR issues, the performance for a lot of customers not being optimized for whatever reason, and what you get is a melting pot of angry customers who just bought your $60 game expecting a finished product. Back to the text. For example, players using cutting-edge multi-threaded chipsets designed for Windows 11 were encountering problems on Windows 10. So basically, Electronic Arts / Respawn are telling us that they haven't tested new-gen CPUs on the most widely spread Windows OS, which is still Windows 10. I don't have any proof of this, but that sounds like a blatant lie. Either they are actually lying to your face or they need to revise their QA department, because testing cutting-edge chipsets on the most common operating system is standard practice. Now EA says we are committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure we do not introduce new problems. Okay, for one, there are a few arguments to be made here that have some weight. Number one, your previous statement shows you either haven't done significant testing before release and published a broken game, knowing full well it isn't up to par. Number two, player or rather customers don't want to hear your excuses. They want to hear the following: we fucked up, we're working on it around the clock. Number three, this isn't your first rodeo, Electronic Arts. You can't really treat your games like, for example, smaller indie dev studios can. Your customers expect finished games from you for the exorbitant prices you ask from them. Releasing a game in the state of Star Wars Jedi Survivor is unacceptable. People spend hundreds to thousands of schmackles for their monitors, the gear to be able to play the newest games, and what they get as a thank you is screen tears, HDR issues, unstable frames dropping as far as below 30 FPS. It's ridiculous. And doesn't do justice to the voice actors, the motion cap actors, and all that are involved with designing the game. Now in regards to testing, it is true that upon release you open up the game to a potential multi-million people testing, and stuff will be found that the QA team hasn't even thought of finding. That is completely normal. That's where patches come in, hotfixes come in, etc, etc. You cannot anticipate all issues with a QA team of 100 testers. 8 hours a day for a full year, you don't even come close to the amount of players playing and testing the game on day one of launch. The math simply doesn't work out. While the first game had its fair share of issues, a majority of the reviews asked for better and especially for more combat. Jedi Survivor doubled down on the environment or jumping puzzles and left combat in the dark. It did add new mechanics to the Force Tree system, and at the very least the lightsaber doesn't feel like holding a baseball bat anymore, but there simply isn't enough combat for a Star Wars game. With all that aside, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is currently the pinnacle example of the bigger issue with gaming in 2023. Studios making games, releasing them in a broken or lackluster or borderline unplayable state like Cyberpunk 2077, No Man's Sky, Destiny 2 Lightfall, Jedi Survivor, and many more, asking full price for them. releasing a statement, apologizing for the state of the game and slowly patching it up. This way of playing with their customers' money is some big corp 5-hat shit that needs to stop. They call you players instead of customers because they want to appear like your friend. They thank you for your patience instead of apologizing for the incompetence because it's a brain trick to make you feel empathetic towards the workers behind the game. Don't get fooled by any of this though, because at the end of the day what really matters to a company like Electronic Arts is money.
Come on, Randy, come on.
The entire gaming community knows this, yet for some reason it's still very popular to either pre-order these games or buy them, play for a bit, notice they're unplayable, and then don't ask for a refund. Meaning voting with your wallet is completely impossible for most of us. Now obviously everyone is the master of their own fate and can make the conscious decision to either buy or not to buy a certain game, their goddamn selves. Who am I to deter you from that, and if that's your joy and passion, so be it. I also do understand the notion of wanting to show appreciation for the developers and artists behind the game, although they usually get paid either way on a fixed rate, so logically it doesn't really make sense to me. But on an emotional level, I vibe with it. What does bother me is that studios, even after massive online backlash and multiple accounts of exceedingly negative reviews, just don't seem to care. It's like from around 2016 onto 2023, the care to make a great game that is 80% launch ready just doesn't exist anymore. Now, important to note is that I'm not a developer, nor do I have divine insider knowledge. This is a personal observation and one that many share. I started writing this script in April with the intention to make a video around the launch of the game to get those sweet views. It took Respawn until the middle to end of May to fix the most game-breaking issues. Now granted, they did get fixed, rightfully so, and it has been around a month since any negative reviews have hit the Google and Steam reviews. However, having the L-take of buy now, we'll fix it later, just wait till X developer pushes out an update is bullshit. It's wrong, and it's actually upsetting to me how many brown-nosing bros some developers have. Do you honestly think that a company of that size cares about your 200 follower Twitter account telling people to just shut the fuck up and enjoy the game as is? You have to be on some trip, and I want in on it, cause you can't be that delusional without the consumption of copious amounts of mushrooms or pills. Now, not everything about the game is bad. According to the cinematics and voice lines I've watched and heard, the story is quite okay. It's nothing special and definitely does not deserve a Writers Award, but it kind of fits the universe and could have been a lot worse. The combat itself isn't bad per se, however it didn't really improve in contrast to Jedi Fallen Order, while it absolutely should have. Looks are fine, again the games are beautiful, there's no denying that they are, but you only really get to appreciate that when the game runs fine, which according to good friends of mine, it now finally does. So all in all, if you plan on buying Jedi Survivor, just know that it's finally playable now, it has an okay story, and the combat is pretty much still just as wonky as the first game, if not more. Just doesn't feel like a baseball bat anymore, that's amazing. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't even consider buying it simply to leave a small dent in EA's wallet and let them know that there are some gamers who still resist buying a game solely based on its hype and not its performance. Which brings me to another point. This is my personal opinion. Your views might differ, and that it's perfectly fine. We all experience things differently, have different values and priorities. That's pretty much it, all I had to say. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll see you back next week. Later.